All right, week 56 challenge from the Alteryx community brings us a social media analysis challenge. So effectively we have some kind of dirty, not terrible social media analysis. Tweets, it appears. You have a created, you have a string, you have a language, you have the tweet itself and the body of it held within this text field. And then you have the user's screen name. At the end of the day, what they want is they want the hashtags sitting here in the column right here, as well as the strings that it appears in, and a 0 or 1 to show the presence of that hashtag in the strings. So it looks here that we have 3, 10, 16, and 17, and if you investigate this, ID string 3 right there has deals in it, 10 has a hashtag in it, 16 has a hashtag. So what I'm getting at is these are the ID strings pivoted that have hashtags in them. And the 0 and the 1 indicates whether that hashtag actually shows up within the string. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of some information that we don't need at this point. So all we need is the ID string and the text. So let's run this. So I like to clean shop pretty early on, get rid of any data so that it's not being pushed through the workflow. This is not a big deal when you're dealing with however many rows we're dealing with now, which is like 23. But if you're pushing through a lot of data, it's just a good idea to get rid of that data. Better yet, just never even bring it in. But once it's there, no use to push it through your work stream. Next thing that we need to do is we need to look at this text field, and we need to be able to parse out the instances that we see hashtags. So for here in 3, we see deals. I want to create a row for every time I see a hashtag. So in 17, you see follow me JP, and so go follow me. I want to break that into 3 separate rows. And the best way to do that is a regular expression. The regular expression that I used with a little bit of trial and error with regexer.com, or is it .net? I'm not really sure. Was this. So basically we look for the hash itself, and then we look for any characters A through Z or digits and any word as a word completely. So let's run this and see what we get. Oops, I didn't do what I needed to do. We're not trying to replace this. We're actually going to tokenize, and we're going to split this into rows. So that's going to do exactly what I was talking about, where I see in 17 we have the 3 separate hashtags. It's going to break that out into 3 separate rows. So let's go ahead and check that out. Cool. Looks like we got what we needed. And what you'll notice also is that ID strings that don't have text fields or don't have hashtags within them actually end up as null. And that's okay, and I'll show you what we do with that later on. The next thing that I need to do is I don't necessarily care about ID string 1 or 2. I don't care about those because, if you remember, the only ones that we ended up analyzing were those that had hashtags within them. So let's go ahead and remove all of the text columns that didn't have actual text in them. So, for instance, I'm not going to see 1 and 2 once I run through here. So right now I have all of the ID strings that have the text as well as the text held within each. So we're getting pretty close to where we need to be. If you're familiar with some of the transformation tools in Alteryx, your mind obviously gravitates toward this, and that is correct. We're actually going to use the Crosstab, and we're going to use text as our header. And then we are going to use the column headers from ID string. And the values that we're going to use are text. Really, we could use either of these, but I'm going to use text. And what you'll see here is we're getting pretty close to what we need to see. We have our text here in the first column, and we have 3, 10, 16, and 17. The only thing we're missing is that ID string prefix there. But we also have, the text. Wherever we see presence of this hashtag, we have text. So all we need to do is now flip these over to zeros or ones, and we're pretty darn close to being finished. The way that I did that was a multi-field tool, and I take in all types of data. And what this is going to allow me to do is perform the same exact formula on a multitude of fields. And the formula that I need to run is I need to say, well, if this current cell is null, then it's a 0. If it has text in it, then it's a 1. So I've written that out. It's a short little if statement. Here it is. So if it's not null, then it's a 1. So if it has text, it's a 1. Otherwise, it's a 0. Let's run this. And let's actually, the second thing that we can do here is we can actually add our, if we want to format this with ID string underscore in front of it, we can just copy this out to new fields called IDR underscore STR underscore. And we're going to add that as the prefix. And now we have, over here on the right, you see it's just copied this. So for ID string 3, there wasn't anything, or EEUU wasn't there, but in ID string 10, it was. So now we've effectively carried out the formula, and we've renamed the actual fields. The last thing I need to do is clean shop a little bit again, and these are going to come out as strings. I'm going to change these actually over to integers, and you'll see very shortly why I've done that. We're looking pretty good here. We have our text and we have our strings, and let's also go ahead and change this to hashtag to match the output here. It's plural. Hit play. Looking good. The last thing we need to do is add this total, which would show if there was more than, if hashtag was used in more than one tweet, it would show the total number of tweets. It's a pretty simple formula that just says total, and we say ID 3 plus ID string 10 plus ID string 16 plus ID string 17. That's a total, but let's put that out to integer. All right. So there we've got our solution. Weekly challenge 56 was a fun one. I hope you had fun. I hope this is helpful. As always, there's more than one way to shine a penny. I'm sure that other people have different ideas about how to solve this, but this was mine. Again, hope it's helpful, and happy Alteryxing.